Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of trying to live a healthier and more fulfilling lifestyle. So, since our last episode, I have continued to try and doom scroll less. I've done it a little bit. I saw on my iPad that my screen time went from 13 hours to 9 hours, which is an improvement. And it's interesting thinking like that because, like, my screen time used to be like 4 hours a day, like a year or two ago. I used to really hold myself accountable to doing something else, and I don't know. Lately, it's really just been so so much easier to just get lost in a doom scroll. Like I'm 21, but I really feel like responsibilities have just come pouring in as you're a young adult, and depending on like your living circumstances as well, and all of these others like determining factors. But I know for me and my circumstance, I recognize that like I really enjoy doom scrolling, because it's a different kind of intoxication. I feel like at the root of all of these like strong desires for more sensory pleasures is just like the want to not like be in control. I feel like that's where a lot of us really want to be kids again, right? Not because okay, well, also because of like the positive aspects of like feeling free and having that like naivety about the world, and like that real excitement to do anything and everything. um but I also feel like it really stems from not being in full control over your life in that same manner. There's always someone to take care of you, and that is something that like we hold really close to ourselves, because that type of parental care is something that we really yearn for. That like boundless type of love. And when we're like given an opportunity to not feel it, or not feel the pressure of adulthood, then like society like crushing in on us, it feels really nice. I feel like digitally we can recognize this in doom scrolling, and then like if we look at other drug use, drinking lets us feel like less in control, or like our everyday action, or that's like how I did. I've also realized I've been drinking a bit more than usual. um and same with smoking. The whatever you do, honestly, like that removal of feeling like you have to care about everything. Like I know I'm a nonchalant person, or I don't, or like I feel like I appear like that, but I really do care heavily about a lot of stuff. Um, right? That being able to just let everything go and not care, but like I feel like that's where like a real want to like do really good as well comes in, because like imagine making something really beautiful, and then like you're comfortable letting go of it, so then you can just like have like a gallery of beauty made by you, and like they all mean something to you. It's like an infinite depth, but also nothing. Anyway, I'm rambling. Our attempts to reduce our doom scrolling habits, um yeah, it's going all right. Right, even right now, my phone is across my room on top of a book that I read before I wrote this. I was reading In the Buddha's Words. I'm reading that shit so slowly. Bro, I've been reading this shit for like 2 years. I read like an excerpt a month, man, and like I don't mind reading it like that. I feel like it makes everything a bit more impactful because I'm really trying to apply everything and not just read it, like understand it into my own context, into my life. Um, but yeah, so I'm trying to do more, and with that comes trying to actually pay attention more to everything that I'm doing. But like one half of this is about maximizing my self-expression. I think I mentioned this in another video. So that means I'm adding more to all of the spaces that I consume from. You know, I feel like another reason why I'm so comfortable doom scrolling still is because I'm making a TikTok a day every time I go to the gym. You know, I go to the gym, I also make a TikTok, so I'm giving back to it in some sense, right? And now with these videos again, I'm giving back to the YouTube community that I take from when I watch a video. Um, yeah. So what I've done in like the past 48 hours, I watched a movie and I watched a show. And it sounds so small and so simple, but like I feel like this is a really big step for me because I don't feel like I've really been able to sit down and watch something independently in a really long time. I feel like I've been so focused on the pressures and stressors that come with having bills and needing to make money that I just continue to want some stimulus to keep that pressure going so I could feel like I need to do this, you know? On my blog a while ago, I wrote about how I've been in this mindset of make art or die, and that's that same type of pressure, you know, either do this or die. So I don't really have time to relax. I don't have time to breathe. I have to do it. And once I let myself like slowly shift out of that mindset, that's when I started getting back into these rounds of a lot of doom scrolling, whether it be on TikTok, Twitter, sometimes Reddit, YouTube, you know, getting into those types of behaviors. So now that I sat down and watched a movie, I feel like it was a really big leap, you know. And throughout it, at some points, I did pick up my phone, like mindlessly scrolled Twitter, cause bro, there's underground beef between Jane Remover, Dabo, Kuru, Skywater, and then like the two niggas was talking about Hollow's life or Kuru, bro. That shit is so stupid. But anyway, yeah, that's what I was doing, and like I watched this movie Paprika. It used to be one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. It was always between Paprika and Akira. I love those movies. And tonight I watched Paprika, or last night I watched Paprika, and like I was really resonating with its message about following through with the stories that we start, and I was really thinking about it in terms of how we become disconnected from our inner child that like wants to express themselves and follow through with all these different passions. Um, and fundamentally, we become disconnected with them out of fear. You know, Takagawa, the cop, I'm forgetting his name, but um, you know, he had this film in high school at 17, and he didn't finish it, and his friend was supposed to go to film school, but his friend died. I mean, okay, I'm spoiling it, but like, it's an old movie. You can watch it for free on YouTube. But yeah, his friend died, and he became a cop, and it was like he started living the story of his film, and he never got to finish it. And you know, I was thinking about that in terms of my own life as well. Because when I was a kid, I was watching the Astif movies, and like my uncle was like, "Oh, there's a deeper meaning to this. It's inappropriate." And then he made my grandma watch the Astif movies. I Like Trains music video. Um, that really stuck with me. That was really funny. But as a kid, I always knew I wanted to like. This might sound vain, but I wanted to be seen for my creativity because I always knew I loved art. I just wanted to make art and do something around that, you know. And I abandoned myself for years, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt like the options that presented me didn't align with who I wanted to be, and I just listened to what my family told me I should do, aka be an engineer, be like your grandfather. You know, I would build stuff in Minecraft. My family would be like, "You should go into engineering since you want to build all this stuff." And I was like, "Okay, well, whatever. I don't really care." You know, and it wasn't until like this past year where I really sat down and reconnected with myself, where I felt like I could continue the story I left unfinished as a kid. and now was trying to disconnect from my phone a bit more. I think that like I feel like that speaks to the escapism that I would like plunder myself into to avoid what I was feeling. There is a really heavy disconnect with me growing up, just because I didn't think anybody could understand my circumstances. I felt like that disconnected me from my friends, and I didn't speak up for myself. I didn't say what was on my mind. I didn't communicate it. And over time, it just felt like, things kept falling apart and disconnecting, And I let myself fall into the hole of the internet as my means of comfort. And I feel like I'm now trying to disconnect it after so many years in there. So yeah, I watched the movie. And then today I watched the second season of Dora Hedora. I got caught up. My client at work canceled. Bruh, I pulled up a park. I'm coming a bit early. I walk in 5 minutes before. I'm in my car listening to some music. I see my client's mother texted me. And she said, "Don't come today. He's cranky and didn't get any sleep." Oh my God. Like, I love you, kid, bro. I would have worked with you, but, I took the day off. Free day off. So fun. I won't say it. I got other stuff to talk about. So yeah, got back home and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I like practicing my guitar. I've been doing that too. I'll talk about that after work. So after like 7 p.m. And then I want to slowly pick up reading again. Doing a lot of stuff. So yeah, I watched Dora Hedora season 2 and I was like, did not remember what season 1 was like. Just remember I liked it. So confused at first, but then I just was like, all right, I'm sticking with it. And I enjoyed it. And I didn't use my phone throughout the entire time. And it was nice. I felt like I was breathing. I felt like this pressure in my chest could take a moment, even if it's small, to just be settled and just enjoy the current time. There's a lot to be stressed out about, and I don't know, I finally could just breathe. TikTok feels like it's so fast paced, and just being on my phone in general, you're looking at such a small screen, you're keeping your head down. It feels like it's really shrinking my world whenever I'm so attached to it, and it was nice. Yeah. So what does the future look like? Something that I really plan on doing is like dedicating like 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. to like no phone usage. I think I'll start this next week or like in the coming days, depending on how I feel. Just to be more consistent. Yeah, because like I'm in another place now where I'm listening to less music, because I listen to a lot of overstimulating music, aka the underground like hyperpop scene. And like I want to take a break from my overstimulation to nothing for a while, and I want to get back into like listening to some jazz and maybe classical and some other genres too, because I love finding new music. So yeah, I'm very excited for what the future holds, and I'm excited to keep making videos. This is really fun. I like how low effort I like how low effort it can be. Honestly, I want to save my production stuff. All right, this was fun. Bye. 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 Bye.